Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara. Whether you are gathered here or participating with us from home, this is our community of faith, where we nurture wonder and support each other on our spiritual journey. You do not have to pretend to be anyone other than you are to belong here. Come as you are and be welcomed. I'm Peter Hale, a member of your worship arts team, your host for this morning's service, while Reverend Julia is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm joined by Charla Brigante, Matthew Grissett, Heather Levin, and our special guest speaker, Matthew Lowe, who is a member of the beloved community church here in Santa Barbara and describes himself as a community leader and spiritual healer who is guided by the phrase, walk by faith, not by sight, as he is blind, but possesses great vision for transformation and healing. Matt is working on a book centered on the theme of disability liberation and healing. And he's finishing up his second master's degree, all while running his podcast, The Changemaker. Matt partners with communities of faith like ours to address issues of social and racial injustice and the healing power of reparations. As we light our chalice this morning, if you're joining us from home, please write in the chat box, the chalice is lit, and your location. Our different paths come together in this holy place, graced by the history of our free religious heritage. Let us be mindful of the forces deep within, which call us to become more than we are. This hour brings rest and renewal, comfort and challenge. We are reminded here of our highest aspirations to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. To know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and wonder to each other, to this community, and to the universe. We have, of course, several announcements this morning. Anna, where are you? Come on up.
Good morning. My name is Anna DeStefano, and I'm a member of the Vision Steering Committee. The other members of the committee are John Altman, Ivor John, Ken Ralph, and Lorraine Woodman, all working under the watchful eye of Reverend Julia. Talk about a capital campaign and a visioning process has been around USSB since the beginning of the church year. In fact, I haven't heard the word vision so much since I left the Catholic Church about 50 years ago. Or maybe I was in one of those organizational development workshops where we were trying to elevate the discourse of strategic planning. But visioning at the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara, I have been a member here for more than 40 years. And this society is one of the most important reasons why Deb and I stayed in Santa Barbara. I don't think I have 40 more years ahead of me, but I want USSB to have at least that many meaningful years in this community. To ensure that, I believe we need to work together to articulate why we should be here. Those who know me well know that I'm a rather pragmatic person. Yet, until you and I dream together about what we want for this congregation, we won't know how to make it happen. Please join us in collective dreaming. Who do we want to come to our campus? What could they come here for? What resources are needed to change lives? Yours, mine, and the lives of others we haven't yet met. Please sign up for a 1-hour small group exploration so we can learn about your dreams. Lorraine and John will be at a table in the garden to help you sign up and to answer your questions. As Mama Cass said, dream a little dream with me. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm here to talk to you about General Assembly, which is coming right up. GA is where Unitarians get together to worship, to conduct the business of the association, to attend worships and lectures, and have fun together with other UUs. This year, the theme is going to be Love Unites, Stories Ignite, and it will celebrate the profound impact of love within our faith communities and beyond. This year, it's going to be easier than ever to attend GA because it's going to be held online. It'll be held between June 20th and June 23rd, and if you're interested in attending, I'd recommend that you register as soon as possible because the cost will increase on March 15th and then again on May 15th. Another way to participate is to be a delegate. Our congregation is entitled to 8 delegates, and they have to be voting members of the congregation, and they will vote on the business and agenda items at the GA. If you don't want to be involved in the full GA, you can just sign up to be a delegate and you don't have to pay the registration fee. Although they do recommend some kind of donation. They didn't say small, I just said that. So this year, it's going to be kind of a juicy one. The delegates are going to be voting on changes to Article 2 of the bylaws, which would update the purposes of the UUA and the statement about our values and covenant. You may remember that a few months ago, Reverend Julia did a sermon talking about this. She showed an image of a chalice in the center of flower petals with the word love over it, and the petals included the words interdependence, equity, transformations, pluralism, generosity, and justice. And descriptions have been provided of these to outline what our core values are. So this is your chance to be a delegate and be a part of Unitarian history if you want to vote on that. So if you're interested in serving as a delegate, you can talk to me at the Bridge to Future table, which is now in Parish Hall, or you can talk to our board president, Judy Ferris. Thank you.
Sunday morning, Christmas Eve Sunday, how many were at the pancake breakfast we had? Yeah. A lot of you. There were 60 people that attended, and when I planned this, I had no idea if even one person would show up. But it was a great success, so we're going to do it again. Easter is on a Sunday this year, and so that's funny. Easter's on a Sunday, so that means we're going to have another breakfast, and it's not going to be a sunrise breakfast or anything like that. It's going to be 8:30 to 9:45, and then the regular service will begin. So hopefully you can put it on your calendar and all come. Last announcement, the Fashion Fling is going to be Friday, March 15th through Sunday, the 17th. And the great news about the Fashion Fling is that I was told at first that it was degendered. Well, now I said, that sounds pretty painful to me. Why don't we call it gender neutral? Okay, so now the fashion fling has been neutered, and men are invited, men are encouraged to come to the fashion fling for the first time. This is such good news. I am contributing it to our change jar this morning. That's my contribution to that. I'll be there. So, our first hymn.
Rise in body and spirit as we sing our opening hymn, 134, Our World is One World.
Touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate we make a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, who stand or fall. Our world is one world, just like a ship that bears us all, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our hearts can hear a different call.
This is the first Sunday of the month, and so I'm going to invite all the people who have birthdays in March to come up, get your star.
You so desire to tell us when your birthday is, and if you want to, how many years you have earned.
I'm Alan Staley, and my birthday is March 13th, and I'll be 73, and I also have a commercial for the meeting that night. The 13th, there's going to be a meeting here at the church where I'll be celebrating my birthday, too.
My name is Leland Riordan, and my birthday is March 4th, and I'm turning 14.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Cordis Laux. My birthday is March 5th. I will be 47 years old. So one of my favorite numbers, 47. So That'd be fun.
Mike Brock. My birthday is March 12th, and I'm starting Medicare this year, so I'm very happy. 65.
I'm Chris Schorb. March 7th, this Thursday, is my birthday, and I will be 58.
My name is Stuart Brandt. I was born March 8th, and I'll be 82.
Oh, Stuart, you beat me out. My name is Joe Fior. My birthday is March 28th. I'll be 79.
We celebrate all of you, the joys you bring to us, the humanness you bring to us, all of the gifts you share with us. Happy birthday. And now it is a time in the service for people who like to sit on rugs and listen to stories to come forward. I would like the chair, thank you. Yes. Hello, hello. Oh, thank you, Leland. See, even when you're almost 14, you can still come up and hear a story on a rug. Got a couple more heading up. So it's been a while since this Wonder Box has made an appearance, but this morning I found it on my desk, and I wonder what's inside. And I'm wondering if Maya would like to come open it and see. Open it up there, Maya. You want to hold that up? Or I'll hold it up. What have we got here? It's a whole bunch of Play-Doh is what it is. And I'm gonna take this one out. So this is a green kind of blob of Play-Doh. Wow, it's really perfectly cylindrical right now, and I love the way new Play-Doh smells too. It's got such a great smell to it. And when it sits in my hand like this, it's just, you know, sort of a green blob or cylinder of Play-Doh. But then when I do this, I can roll it into kind of a rounder ball. It's going to take more time than I thought, but you get the idea. It's going to turn into a round ball. If I do this, it changes into a snake or a worm, right? If I keep rolling it out. And you know, with a little imagination, I can change this blob of Play-Doh into all kinds of different things. It can change a lot. I've just changed it into a spiral. I'm just going to play for a while. You guys enjoy the story. And it also, it gets warmer and softer the more I hold it. So it changes, right? As soon as I took it out of that container and started touching it, it started changing. And today's service, coincidentally, is about change. And change is all around us, right? Change comes in all shapes and sizes. Some changes are small, some changes are large, some changes are planned for, and some take us by surprise. Some change is fun, like changing a ball of Play-Doh into different kinds of shapes. That's fun. Some change is unpleasant, and like dropping the Play-Doh in the dirt, or leaving it out in the sun and it dries up and gets all crumbly. That's not a good change. And sometimes we might wish things wouldn't change at all. Like, I really liked that perfect cylinder of Play-Doh, and part of me wanted to just leave it just like that. But change is a part of being alive, so we might as well get used to it. The weather changes. In fact, change is the only thing we can count on, right? The weather changes, the time of day changes, the seasons change. You all change teachers every year at school. Our bodies change as we grow up and get older. Change is everywhere. But we can learn to look forward to change, because often with change, there are opportunities. Like when you start a new class at school, you might miss your old classmates and your old teacher, and that's always a little sad. But you get the opportunity to make new friends and learn new things with a new teacher. And that's the thing about change. It's not always all good or all bad. Sometimes it's a little of both. So anyway, about this blob of Play-Doh here, well, I can use my imagination to change it into a bunch of different things, as we've talked about. But if I were to share it with Leland, we would have even more ideas and more things we could change it into. And that would be really fun to see what we could do together. And if I gave all of you Play-Doh in different colors, Leland, would you pass out to the kids everyone? And if I don't have enough, we have more. If I gave all of you a can of Play-Doh, and you don't have to open it right now, but in different colors, the changes we could make are endless. When we're together, when we put our hearts and minds and hands together, we can make all kinds of change. So what do you think? Should we all go out and explore change a little bit more together out there? Let's head out. That's our story for today. You want me to take that?
Trail the spark of your precious light. We hold you in our love as you go.
Hang on just a minute. Matthew? Choir? So just wait till we're done singing. Okay, thank you.
All right, we're all going to sing together our meditation on breathing. So join in as you see fit. It is Teal Hymnal 1009. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out
I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Join me in taking a breath. Breathe in joy and breathe out courage. Breathe in humility and breathe out compassion. The image of the sacred in me recognizes the image of the sacred in you. May we be people that join together in recognizing our humanity, how it joins together in our beautiful difference. In that, may we be able to sit in the gray area, the area where we may not have the answers, the area where something is happening, but we're not yet seeing it. May the character that is happening through that persevering moment be present with us, be present with the person across from us. And most of all, may we be able to join into love. The love that pushes us deeper into compassion, the love that pushes us deeper into who we are as a collective humanity. May we find the sacred in the person across from us as we find the sacred in ourselves. And when we do that, may we find our power. May we find our power in how we unite together. Amen.
The March offering will be shared with the PFLAG organization, the nation's largest group dedicated to supporting education, and advocating for LGBTQ people and their families. We have a close relationship with this organization. 3 of our members here, Charla Brigante, Gary Welterlin, and Nancy Edmondson, are on the board of PFLAG. And if you're wondering about the relevance of PFLAG to us here in particular, recently the Texas Attorney General demanded that the PFLAG organization in Texas turn over all their records concerning transgender care. Funding to fight this issue needs our support. So our offering today will go to the local chapter. It will also go to the national chapter of PFLAG. Will you please read with me the words of affirmation printed in your order of service or on the screen? Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, my name is Matt Lowe. I am excited to be here. I've been around a little bit. I'm not sure if anybody recognizes me, but I'm glad to be here. Julie and I, our friendship has been going on for a while now. So, yes, I'm excited. This is exciting. I'm curious. Well, one, I have a bit of an invitation for you today, so that's at the very end, though. It's nothing scary. I have a question for you, though, and I want you to think about it. Is there somebody in your life, in the past, present, that is just like a legend to you, that you have met, or somebody that you'd like to meet? It could, well, not that you'd like to meet, that you have met. You're like, dang, that person was influential, impactful. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to feel that experience that that person met, where they met you, and how that impacted you. There was a legend that I met, and it was when I went to college, and I'll call it the Legend of Lipsis, because it kind of works well, two L's together. He was a professor, and he was a white guy in a black studies department, and I thought that was very interesting. I'm like, huh, okay, this kind of, hadn't come across this before. And I was taking a class with him, and I took more classes with him, and I started recognizing and reading across the discipline and found out how legendary this guy was. And he still is kind of ominous to me today. I still can't quite figure it out, but he sticks with me as somebody. And there was a phrase that he used quite often that stuck with me. He talked about new democratic institutions. And in this, it kind of set up it allowed me to imagine. It allowed me to dream, and he talked about it in the civil rights movement. They were all about building new democratic institutions. They were talking about the pervasive presence of violence, and what is an alternative story that we can tell about violence, and what are the new ways that we can set forth. And so this guy Lipsis, the legend, is telling me these things. I wouldn't know when he was telling me those things how impactful they would be to me now, and how they still stick in my head. And the fact that new democratic institutions are foundational to me. I dream about them, I feel them, feeling my way through this college time period of this big period of change. It meant a lot, because in that I would also be coming home to myself and my disability. I grew up playing hockey, and at the age of 16, I would be diagnosed with a disease where I would lose my vision over a 6-month period of time. Yeah, I heard some breaths out there. Yeah, it took my breath away. My dream was to play hockey, and in some sort, whether it's business around it or professionally. And I was all ready to move away, go play, and my dreams were canceled, my plans were halted, and I lost my purpose. It was depression, it was loneliness, it was isolation, it was purposelessness. I didn't know what to do. I felt lost. And I would start to refine this slowly. It was grueling. I make it sound like a short period, but it was years. And it was in this college experience where I started to find my journey and how it connected, how my disability of losing my vision, and where I grew up playing hockey in East and West Oakland, and how now I'm here in this Black Studies class learning about racial justice and restorative justice and truth-telling and these things, and how they met my story. And I saw that I could come home to who I am. And that's what I call embracing change as the beloved, because I can come home and love who I am, love where I'm at, love where I'm going. There's more to my story. But I had to sit in that liminal area. I had to sit in that gray area, that space in between, where I'm not where I was, but I'm not yet where I'm going. Some call it, that's just what it means to be spiritual. It's to sit in that in-between space. So I guess you could say my vision loss was a spiritual act. It really was a meditation for me. In fact, there's an old Hebrew scripture that says to walk by faith, not by sight.
And if you think about that for a moment, it sounds cliche, but if you're not walking by sight, and faith is this abstract idea, then what does it mean? Well, it means you have to feel your way through. It means that each step it's not a giant step, because that'd be more scary. You have to feel your way through. Visually impaired people use canes, or they have guide dogs. And so we feel our way through. Texture. We feel with our hearts. There's an artist, a blind poet, hip-hop artist. He says, "I'm blind in the eyes, but I see with my heart." And I resonated with that so deeply when I first heard it. I was like, yes, somebody's finally saying what I'm feeling. But I had to feel my way through this program, this legend of Lipsis, if you will, and these new democratic institutions that I didn't know what it really meant for me. But as I'm studying, I'm learning this idea of truth-telling, of restorative justice, of racial justice, and what that means for me now. And I started as this young, naive 20-something. I was like, what is justice? Can it truly be restorative? Can we move away from a punitive path? And I'm like, what if we created a restorative justice? And I laugh now because I didn't know that this restorative justice, if you want to even call it a discipline, was even a thing. Like, it's been around millennia. Like, it's indigenous practices that go back thousands and thousands of years. So I'm just like this young naive, like, oh, what if we could really create justice that is restorative? And thinking I was coming up with something new in this senior thesis. So I'm like, it's kind of laughable now, but I'm in this and I'm trying to like discover like what it means to apply and build new democratic institutions. And I'm feeling my way through this. Having to give up old versions of me and relearn new things. I have to cut down the old things that weren't serving me, the things that were holding me back. And then I have to undo the harmful ways that I was practicing until I can find my truth. Then I have to tell my truth. So I'm moving through these processes and, learning restorative justice, becoming a facilitator, engaging in racial justice work, understanding, reading, pushing things forward, going to conferences, advocating in different spaces, working and building other organizations, teaching, many different things. But it wasn't really about that work, because it was just those were, yes, they were good, but it wasn't meeting me, because it wasn't meeting that new democratic institution. As a disabled person, I realized there was a part of me that I was shutting out, that there was a thing I was putting in a back seat, like I was putting myself last because of this internalized ableism that was going on. It was, some would call it internalized self-hatred. And this was intersecting with my racial justice work, my disability, my ableism work. What thoughts about myself were impacting my racial justice work, my activism, my podcast, my whatever it was that I was doing, my coaching, my business building, my nonprofit building, many of those things. It was impacting because I didn't believe that it could actually be here, that it was worthy, that it was welcomed. And when I came to confront this internalized ableism, I saw we call it the intersecting, interlocking injustices, and how disability and racial justice are interlocking injustices. And when I came to find my truth, then I can speak the other truth, that I can step into the power that I have been building and building and building into this idea of reparations. I know reparations is a big word and a little scary, not the most heartwarming conversation around the dinner table or anything, but there's a process that I think is beautiful that really, when I found it, it spoke to me because it was something that I had already been through. And they call it the phases, the 5 phases. They actually have a name. They're called the satisfactory phases. We can call it satisfactory work. I like that a little bit better. But there's 5 phases that I think it makes it available to all of us. It brings us in and says that we have a part of this. And this is the embracing change. This is the change work. It's very similar to the process I went through. And so I want to open this up and invite everybody here in and say, what does this make available to us? If we put our palms up, what does this make available to us? Like how can we see what is happening here and open ourselves up to change? Because if we have a closed fist and like, I don't like that, it's like a closed fist doesn't make change. It just makes broken eggs and broken glass. I don't know what the metaphor was going, but it doesn't work. So palms up, like what is happening here? And ironically enough, if you grab sand and you squeeze it, you have less of it. But if you open your hand and hold it, you have more of it. Same with water, and the same with Play-Doh. Thank you for that story earlier. If you squeeze Play-Doh, it goes through your fingers. And yeah, we all know that, kids. But so if we hold this idea of reparations and say, what does this offer for me? It's quite profound. So let me open you up to the 5 phases and see where you fit, because it's not this big like transform society. I mean, it is transform society, but it's not entering that transformative justice work. So the first phase is just recognition. I think a lot of us can recognize a social issue when we see one. We can come into it and be like, dang, we don't like that. We want humanity to be together, and whatever separates us apart from ourselves and from other people, that's an issue. So we recognize that, hey, there was a harm that took place here in the reparative sense, enslavement or colonization or whatever it may be. So we recognize an issue. Recognition is phase 1. The second phase is re-education. And just like myself, I had to go back and relearn a lot of things about, well, 1, what it meant to be disabled, 2, like myself and who I was in this world, what gave me meaning, what was purposeful, and what was going to carry me forward. And so the same thing with re-education in the reparative sense around race. There's a conversation that we need to have of like, what is the history that we've been through? How have people actually been impacted? Our history that we learn in high school, truth be told, is not the full history. There's more to it. And so what they call a revisionist history, or the people's history, what is really being told by the people? What movements have taken place before? And how can we re-educate ourselves around not just justice issues, but the injustices, the systems, the world that we have created? So there's re-education that needs to take place. And then there's a phrase, they call it demonumentalizing. And for me, that meant I had to take down these harmful, ableist things that were blocking me from being fully alive as a disabled person in this world, as a visually impaired person in this world, and allow my love, my joy, everything to come out, to be represented and to be a leader, whatever that meant for me in those different spaces. But demonumentalizing in the reparative sense could be taking down harmful monuments. Because what happens when we have a harmful monument is it takes us back. You can use the psychological word. It triggers us. It takes us back to that shame place. And the reparative work is we're trying to eliminate the experience of shame so that way we can maximize the greatest truth to be told. So demonumentalizing, how do we take down the monuments? And the next phase is undoing harmful policy. Policy is another thing that gets in the way of truth being told, so people feel that they can't access a building, or they can't access the place for truth to be told, or they feel they don't belong, or that there's something that they don't feel included in the process. For example, in South Africa, they famously went through a truth and reconciliation process, Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and in that, the big criticism is that it only went to the 5 big cities in South Africa. It didn't go to the rural areas where a lot of the people were, where the truth needed to be heard. And so there was only about 3,000 to 5,000 people that participated in the truth-telling process, which is not nearly enough. And so we need to undo the harmful policy that holds us back from being included in the world. And the 5th one is truth-telling. That's, we always love the culmination, the truth-telling, But
And we often say, especially as a white-bodied person, what does it mean for me to truth tell? I think that's a big question that I get, because we imagine a truth-telling ceremony of somebody, in South Africa's experience and in Canada's experience, Rwanda's experience. It's about the people that have been harmed. And so in the restorative process, it's what is the greatest amount of healing for the harm that was done? And so we have to center those that have gone through the harm experience. And so as a white-bodied person, that can be a little difficult. There's a famous author, Resmaa Menakem, that talks about white body supremacy and how our bodies take a different position somatically, posture-wise, because of these experiences that we have in our culture. And when we have a truth-telling ceremony, I like to say that creating the greatest path for truth to be told. And what happens when white-bodied folks share their truth? There's an apology, there's an amend, there's a door opening. There's a state that says, hey, this is a welcome space for more truths to be told. In the faith community, I call it, it's an old faith word, but I've kind of, it's repentance. And I know it kind of has a negative connotation, I'm sorry. But there's in the Old Testament, there's a word teshuva that they use for the word repentance, and it's a very beautiful word, not in the pronunciation, but in the definition, it's for something to die and something new to rebirth. And I think that's something that we can all get behind, because that is life. Like a seed gets planted and something new rebirths. Like a tree burns down, something new comes about. And so we think of life that sprouts, and that's something that we can all get behind. And we want to sprout new life. We want wholeness to come about. We want the seeds to join and nourish one another, just as we are seeds in our communities. And so truth being told is about making the soil rich for the truth to come out. So those are the 5 phases. And I hope you kind of see how I went through those myself with my disability, understanding I had to relearn, I had to take down those monuments, I had to undo the harmful mental ideas, I had to take down the ableist structures in my thinking, and the pillars around me, the statues that were looming over me, if you will, around the ways that I should be in this world. The should. It's a shaming voice. I had to take those down and get to the place where I can say my truth, And so we can do that around reparations, racial reparations. That is a process that we can all enter into. And reparations, after the truth-telling part, is the transformative justice part, where those that are harmed have, that's the work for them to do. And so there's probably another 6 or 7, 8 phases of that work. And so I'm not going to get too much into that, because I want to open this up to all of us. We can enter into this work in our communities here. I often like to remind ourselves that we are wounded. We are because of systems. But as I guess you can call him Catholic mystic, Henry Nouwen, he says we are to be wounded healers. And so it reminded us that it's not enough to say hurt people. What we need to say, or be, is healing people that heal people. And when we recognize that, then we recognize the trauma, the harm that has taken place, and we can ask that restorative question. Thank you. We can ask that restorative question: what is the greatest amount of healing for the harm that was done? And when we do that, there's something that happens within us. We can, like myself, we can have our vision be restored. And so the invitation today is for you to have your vision restored to be the beloved community. So that's what we can do through this process of reparations. Thank you.
Closing hymn is number 288, All Our Architects. Please rise, and when we're done singing, join hands and remain standing for our closing words and closing song.
All are architects of fate, working in these walls of time, man with massive deeds and great, some with ornaments of rhyme. For the structure that we raise, time is with materials filled, our todays and yesterdays are the blocks which we build. Build today then strong and sure, with a firm and ample base, and ascending and secure, shall tomorrow find its place.
The service is not over. Stay for our time of fellowship. Enjoy some conversation with your friends. Chat with our guest speaker, Matt Lowe. Get to know first-time visitors and new members. Until we are together again, may the energy that flows through our hands and hearts, the energy that fills this room, be with you and sustain you through the coming week. Can somebody say amen?
Amen.
Now let's call out a blessing.
Call out a blessing, call out a blessing, call